स्वातु नमसे समण्डलपति शनि सदा तुच्छव भूत्वा दीनगणेश कर्णया कोपी न कण्ठासितो गोपी भावरसामृताभिलहरी कल्लोलमग्नोन्मुहो वन्दे रूप सनातन रघुजगं श्रीजीव गोपाल को कृष्ण कीर्तन कानन तन पर।
Hare Krishna, glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda and all glories to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Today we have a special event from Sacramento, California, being hosted by Bhakta Ram Singh with special guest Yashodanandana Prabhu, who will be speaking on the glories of Rupa Goswami. So we're looking forward very much to that. And our program is to educate. This is the work of the Hare Krishna Society and the Prabhupada Disciples Association, is to convey transcendental truth to others. And this is something that is absolutely necessary for all people who are aspiring to make advancement in spiritual life. So we are reading from, and we'll start the program with a reading from the Prabhupada diaries, the initial beginning, the journal in 1966. So if you could go to the front page there, please, for us. Excuse me. So here is the journal, the beginning, 1966, New York Journal, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Acharya means one who teaches by example. Well, Prabhupada taught by example through his personal practice of the process of devotional service. And then we go to the first upper side, chapter 1, the upper side, west side, January 9th through March 31st, 1966. So it's quite a while ago. Seems just like yesterday for all of us, Yashoda Prabhu. Not long ago. Here we are, already 2024. And time is marching. And we're trying to use our time as best as possible, like Prabhupada used his time extremely effectively. Someone was asking me yesterday, how did Prabhupada take care of himself? Well, Prabhupada took care of himself, but carefully, but at the same time, he was a diabetic. He had health issues. And at the same time, he worked at a very high pace. He only slept a few hours a night. He was constantly traveling, so he just worked and worked and served right up to the last minute of his life. So Prabhupada was extremely focused. So we're hoping all of our members, follow in the footsteps of Śrīla Prabhupada and stay focused on the process of Bhakti Yoga under his guidance and direction. So we're going to read the Upper West Side summary. On January 19th, hopefully we can get that a little closer, sorry. Yeah, thank you. On January 19th, when the first entry occurs, Śrīla Prabhupada is living in the rear rooms of the yoga studio of Dr. Ram Murthy Mishra at Suite 501, 100 West 72nd Street on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. Daily, Śrīla Prabhupada walked several blocks to Dr. Mishra's residential apartment at 33 Riverside to bathe and to cook his meals. So he had no facility to take care of himself, so he had to go a few blocks to bathe himself and to cook prasadam. In the evenings, Śrīla Prabhupāda holds classes for interested persons. Some of Dr. Mishra's students attend these classes. During the day, Śrīla Prabhupāda is active in selling his books to bookstores. He writes to newspapers and radio stations and organizes occasional speaking engagements. He also writes to large charitable foundations like the Alfred P. Sloan Foundation and the Rockefeller Foundation. On the weekends, Śrīla Prabhupāda joins Dr. Mishra on yoga retreats at the Ananda Ashram in Monroe in upstate New York. We'll find out that they were just using him for kirtan, but he wasn't really speaking at all. They were a Mayavadi group. Here he conducts kirtans, which the students appreciate. There, see? Śrīla Prabhupada is looking for a building to purchase as a Hare Krishna temple. He hopes this will be financed by Sri Padmapat Singhania, a wealthy industrialist in Kanpur, India. Śrīla Prabhupada contacts the Salvation Army to arrange the transfer of funds from India to America. He also writes to his godbrothers in India to petition the President of India to sanction foreign exchange. This endeavor occupies Śrīla Prabhupada for almost 5 months. Whoa. On February 2nd, Śrīla Prabhupada purchases a tape recorder to record his classes, kirtans, and bhajans. He pays the equivalent of 1 month's rent. On February 20th, he completes tape recording the Gita Upanishad introduction. Years later, this becomes the introduction to the Bhagavad Gita as it is. Śrīla Prabhupada tries to enlist the aid of Charlotte LeBlanc, who's been attending his classes, to edit his manuscript of the Bhagavad Gita. She becomes reluctant when she learns that Śrīla Prabhupada's philosophy is opposed to monism. Wasn't easy, huh? Very difficult. Śrīla Prabhupada wants his own place, and on February 9th, he signs a lease with the manager of the same building to rent an office room. Again, there was no kitchen or washroom. On February 23rd, Śrīla Prabhupada forms the International Institution for God Consciousness and enrolls 7 of the people who are attending his classes. One of these is Harvey Cohen, who introduces Śrīla Prabhupada to Paul Murray, another young man seeking spiritual knowledge. In March, Śrīla Prabhupada's room is burgled. His tape recorder, typewriter, and book bag are stolen. Unbelievably low-class people. Within days, Śrīla Prabhupada moves to a loft at 94 Bowery, which he shares with Paul Murray. We'll learn that he's a drug addict and very unstable. We're used to that. While he is obligated to give a month's notice at his present location, he changes the venue of his classes on April 1st and travels downtown for each meeting. So we're going to move forward and continue this reading every day or every week at the beginning of our classes to give you an insight into the real journey that Prabhupada was on and how he overcame all his obstacles, all of them by the mercy of his Guru and Krishna. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupada. We're going to move forward now with the chanting of Jaya Radha Madhava and the class on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam with His Grace, who is in Sacramento. He made it down through the mountains without incident, thank God. And he's there. We're going to look forward to today's wonderful session. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Kunja Bihari Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Amaspat Paramahansa Parivrajagacharya Sattvaresvara Smadhati Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava ki Jai Namacharya Shri Haridas Thakur ki Jai Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhaktamani ki Jai Shri Radha Krishna Mokh Gopinath Sam Khand Radha Khand Giridhar ki Jai Vrindavan Dham ki Jai Navadvip Dham ki Jai Ganga Mai ki Jai, Jamuna Mai ki Jai, Guru Dwarka Dham ki Jai, Swami Bhaktivinoda ki Jai, all glories to their Summit. All glories to their Summit. Thank you very much.
All glories to you, Śrīla Prabhupāda. Glories to you, Prabhupada. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. O my Lord, Sri Krishna, the son of Vasudeva, the all-pervading personality of Godhead, I do offer my respectful obeisances unto you from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:1:1. Narayanam namaskritya, Narayanam namaskritya, Naram cheva narottamam, Naram cheva narottamam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Devim Saraswatim Vyasam, Tato Jayam Mudirayet, Tato Jayam Mudirayet. One should utter the means of conquest, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam,
after offering respectful obeisances, 1, to the personality of Godhead Narayana, 2, to the Naranarayana Rishi, who is the supermost human being, 3, to the Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, then 4, to Śrīla Vyasadeva, the author. Welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. As indicated, we are recording this session from Sacramento, California, at the ashram of Bhaktaram Prabhu. He has beautiful deities of Gaura-Nitai and Śrīla Prabhupāda. So we will be continuing this reading as we do every week. We will be reading a few verses from Canto 1, Chapter 2, dealing with the importance of this great transcendental literature, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Canto 1, Chapter 2, text number 17. Shrinvatam svakata Krishna punyashravana kirtanaha ridyantasto iha badrani vidhunoti suritsatam. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is also the Paramatma in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, does cleanse the desire from material enjoyment in the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge for hearing his, Krishna's messages, which are themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. From Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1-17. Text 18. Nashta prayeshu babadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavati uttama shloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in the Bhagavatam class, or rendering service unto the pure devotees, all that is inauspicious in the heart of a candidate becomes destroyed almost to nil, and thus loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, comes into being an irrevocable fact. Text number 19. Tadarajastamo bhava kamalo bhadayaschaye chetaetera viddam stitam sattve prasidati. As soon as irrevocable loving service is fixed up in one's heart, at that time the effects of the nature's mode of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire and hankerings, etc., do disappear from one's heart, and he becomes fixed up in the mode of goodness, which makes him completely happy. Text number 20. Evam prasanna manasu bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasya jayate. Thus, when one is positively fixed up in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the enlivened-minded man, affected by contact of devotional service of the Lord, can positively know scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in the stage of liberation from all material association. Vidyati hridaya grantis chidyanti sarva samshayaha kshiyante chasya karmani drishta evatmanishwari. The knot of one's heart is thus pierced, and all misgivings are cut into pieces. The chain of fruitive actions are terminated, along with the seeing of oneself, the dominating factor. Again, welcome everyone to this reading and discussion on Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Today we will be reading from Canto 1, Chapter 4, text number 12, all English synonyms, translations and purports by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, also known as the Krishna Consciousness Movement. Text number 12. Shivaya lokasya bhavaya bhutaye ya uttama shloka parayana janaha jivanti natmartam parashrayam mumosha nirvidya kutah kalevaram. Shivaya, welfare, lokasya, of all living beings, bhavaya, for flourishing, bhutaye, for the matter of economic development, ya, one who is, uttama shloka parayana, devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead. Janaha, men, jivanti, do live, na, but not, atmartam, selfish interest, parashrayam, shelter for others, mumocha, gave up, nirvidya, being freed from all attachments, kutoho, for what reason, kalivaram, mortal body. Those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interest. So even though the emperor was free from all attachment for worldly possession, how could he give up his mortal body, which was the shelter for all others? Purport by Śrīla Prabhupāda. Parīkṣit Mahārāja was an ideal king and householder because he was devotee of the personality of Godhead. A devotee of the Lord has automatically all the good qualifications desirable, and the emperor was a typical example for this. Personally, he had no attachment for all worldly opulences in his possession. But as he was king for the all-around welfare of the citizens, he was always busy in the welfare work of the public, not only for this life, but also for the next. He would not allow to maintain slaughterhouse of killing cow and thus satisfy the citizens. He was not a foolish and partial administrator, so that he would arrange for the protection of a class of living being, and he would allow the other section to be killed. Because he was the devotee of the Lord, he knew perfectly well how to conduct the administration for everyone's happiness, both men, animal, plants, and all living creatures. He was not selfishly interested. Selfishness is displayed either self-centered or self-extended. He was neither of them. His interest was to please the supreme truth, personality of Godhead. The king is the representative of the Supreme Lord, and as such, the king's interest must be identical with that of the Supreme Lord. The Supreme Lord wants that all living beings should be obedient to the Lord and thereby become happy. Therefore, the king's interest is to guide all subjects back to the kingdom of God, and hence the activities of the citizen shall be so coordinated that they can at the end go back to home, back to Godhead. Under the administration of such representative king, the kingdom is full of opulence. At that time, the human being need not to take the animal food. There is ample food grains milk, fruit, and vegetables, so that the human being as well as the animal can all take sumptuously and to their heart's content. All the living beings satisfied in the matter of food and shelter and conducted in terms of the prescribed rules there cannot be any disturbance between one living being with another. Emperor Parīkṣit was such a worthy king, and therefore all were happy during his reign. Om Ajnanatirmirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I offer my respectful obeisances unto my spiritual master, who has opened my eyes, which were blinded by the darkness of ignorance, with the torchlight of knowledge. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Śrīmate Bhaktivedanta Swamin Niti Namine. I offer my respectful obeisances unto His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupāda, who is very dear to Lord Krishna, having taken shelter at his lotus feet. Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Our respectful obeisances are unto you, O spiritual master, servant of Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami. You are kindly preaching the message of Lord Chaitanya Deva and delivering the Western countries which are filled with impersonalism and voidism. Bhaktisiddhanta Shishyaya Bhaktivedanta Namine Prasannaya Prashantaya Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Let me offer my obeisances unto my Guru Mahārāja, who is a disciple of Śrīla Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, who is always calm and joyful, and who bears the name Bhaktivedanta. Bhagavad Vandanam Kadyam Guru Vandana Purvakam Kshiram Sharkara Yuktam Kadatihi Visheshataha. Worship of the Supreme Lord is naturally very sweet, just like milk is originally sweet. Just as milk becomes sweeter by adding a little sugar, in the same way, worship of the Supreme Lord becomes sweeter by first worshiping the bona fide Guru. Adadhanastrinam danter idam yachi punaha punaha Śrīmad-Rupa Padam Bhoja Dhulisyam Janma Janmani. Clasping a straw between my teeth, I repeatedly beg to attain the dust of the lotus feet of Śrīmad Rupa Goswami, birth after birth. Amsho Bhagavato Smyaham Sadadaso Asmi Saravata Tat Kripa Pikshako Nityam Tat Prishta Shat Karomi Svam. I'm a tiny part and parcel of the Supreme Lord, and I'm always in every way His eternal servant. As I'm always hoping for His mercy and kindness, I offer myself to His most dear servitor, my spiritual master. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasari Gaur Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. This verse of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam has many very interesting points here. It is described that those who are devoted to the cause of the personality of Godhead live only for the welfare, development, and happiness of others. They do not live for any selfish interests. So this is quite significant. Just like every class, Vishwakarma Prabhu is reading from the diary of Śrīla Prabhupāda. Now, what are we learning from this diary? Because the question has been raised, well, why are we spending so much time with this diary? Because this is very important to understand the activities and the mindset of a pure devotee of Krishna, of one who is completely devoted to the mission of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, like Śrīla Prabhupāda. We were reading today how Śrīla Prabhupāda was a guest with Dr. Mishra's ashram, but they were very restrictive in terms of allowing him to speak. And even some person who was trying to help Śrīla Prabhupada was objecting to Śrīla Prabhupada's preaching, because Prabhupada, being a pure Vaishnava, is preaching Vaishnava philosophy, which is basically surrender and service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. So we see all the sacrifices that Prabhupada made to bring the Krishna consciousness movement and to explain Krishna consciousness, to produce his books. At one point, some low-class person even stole Prabhupada's typewriter and Prabhupada's work. Prabhupada was unfazed. He was not disturbed. We were just discussing with Bhakta Ram, he made a comment, how Prabhupada was totally transcendental. Although his possessions had been stolen because he was doing his books with that typewriter, he did not complain. He did not get upset. He did not become angry. He just totally relied on Krishna. And some other arrangement came about. Now, this is very important to study the level of sacrifice that Prabhupada made. This is not an ordinary human being. This is an empowered acharya who is so fixed up in his service to Krishna that the greatest calamity would not disturb him. We see in the Bhagavad Gita, there is description that one is fixed up in the absolute truth. One will not be disturbed even in the greatest of disturbances, the greatest of calamities. One will not be disturbed. We personally have seen Śrīla Prabhupāda when he was trying to get the land for the property in Bombay, in Juhu, to establish a temple. The owner of the property, Mr. Nair, had also entered into another contract with another person, trying to cheat Śrīla Prabhupāda. Śrīla Prabhupāda, when he heard this, was not very happy that somebody was trying to cheat him of Krishna's money. So at one point, we were in Prabhupada's room, and Prabhupada heard that Mr. Nair had died. And Prabhupada said, yes, I was praying for Lord Nrsimhadev to kill him. And Prabhupada said, but generally we don't pray to Krishna to kill anyone. That is not the general standard. We pray to Krishna to engage in his service. But in this case, because this person was trying to cheat, I prayed to Nrsimhadev. We see, even from Prabhupada's travel on the Jaladuta, how he sustained 2 heart attacks, came to America with no assurance. When he came off the boat, there's a story that is related that Śrīla Prabhupāda didn't have enough money, and he requested the captain of the ship, of the Jaladuta, Mr. Pandya, to buy a set of his books. And Mr. Pandya very kindly gave Prabhupada $20 for a set of his books. Prabhupada did not have financial support. He did not have institutional support. Just a letter from a friend in India whose son was living in Butler, Pennsylvania, that they would put him up for a month with no assurance of what would happen after a month. But Prabhupada very faithfully carried on, very, very steadily carried on. No disturbance. He was not upset at anything. Very, very interesting. There is a story that was related to me by the late Shavana Swami, who was a disciple of Prabhupada. He was the first person that Prabhupada met when the boat was pulling in Boston. When the Jaladuta was putting in Boston, this devotee at that time was working for the Coast Guard. And he saw Prabhupada on the boat, and he waved at Prabhupada. Prabhupada waved back at him. And later on, somewhere or other, he became a devotee. He accepted Prabhupada as his spiritual master. So we never know. Even the slight association with a pure devotee can give the greatest benefit. Last Wednesday, we were discussing how in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there's a very important verse which describes what is the benefit of association with sadhus, with devotees. Because people will say, well, why should I bother to come to class? Why should I bother to hear the Bhagavatam? Why should I bother to chant Hare Krishna, follow Ekadasi, so many austerities? So the Chaitanya Charitamrita very nicely answers that. And this relates to the story of the devotee who just for a second was waving at Prabhupada Prabhupada was on the boat. And Prabhupada waved back at him. So the Chaitanya Charitamrita describes sadhu sangha sarva sangha sarva shastrakoi, that all the scriptures are recommending the association of sadhus or saintly persons, devotees of Krishna. So the next question may come up, well, why is that? What benefit will I get from associating with sadhus? What gain will I obtain by associating with sadhus? Lava matra sadhu sange sarva siddhi hoy. That even for a very short moment, if one gets the association, the text is right here, thank you Venkat Prabhu, says the verdict of all revealed scriptures is that by even a moment's association with a pure devotee, one can attain all success. Prabhupada explains in the purport, according to astronomical calculations, lava is 1/11th of a second. Now somebody may raise the question, well, that's not a whole length of time, but that is the power of association with a sadhu, with a pure sadhu, with no personal motivation. Just like that devotee, he didn't get the chance to sit with Prabhupada or to spend all different kinds of talk. He just waved at Prabhupada. And Prabhupada on the boat just waved back at him. And he was so fascinated by this. Here's another important text. The value of a moment's association with a devotee of the Lord cannot be compared to the attainment of heavenly planets or liberation from matter. And what to speak of worldly benedictions in the form of material prosperity, which is for those who are meant for that. Purport. This is a quotation from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam 1:18-13. This verse concerned the Vedic rites and sacrifices performed by the great sages of Naimisharanya, headed by Shonaka Rishi. The sages pointed out that association with the devotee for even less than a second is beyond comparison to 1,000 Vedic rituals and sacrifices, elevation to heavenly planets, or merging into the existence of the Supreme. Now, this is very important because we have seen in many of us in our personal lives of persons who just read a page from Prabhupada's books or got in touch with Prabhupada or personally experienced Śrīla Prabhupada, of how much power there is. Personally, I first saw Śrīla Prabhupada in 1967 during the summer in Montreal, Canada. The Indian government had a pavilion in which they had different exhibits, and they had Śrīla Prabhupada doing a kirtan with his disciples. They were chanting. So I was an underage minor, 15 or 16, and basically I went and I was watching the kirtan. And at one point, Prabhupada just glanced at me, must have been for half a second, 1/11th of a second. And there was this piercing glance. Basically, it felt like you've come to the right place. Just listen. So I was listening to the kirtan, and it was so moving, so powerful. I did not quite understand what it was. It just felt so transcendental. And then what happens, my parents yanked me away. So I escaped again and came back to listen to the kirtan. And I was just fascinated how Prabhupada was chanting, and so many people were gathering, looking at Prabhupada and listening to the chant. It was like a magnet. The power of that pure devotee was like a magnet. What happened is the next week, in the local newspaper in Quebec City, there was a feature. Every week they would put a section of the newspaper on Sunday, different social articles about social events and music and dance and sports. And they had a big picture of Śrīla Prabhupada on that chanting in Montreal in color. So I took the picture out and put it on my wall. At that time, I was doing some so-called Hatha Yoga. And I had different pictures of different sadhus. I even had a picture of Lord Chaitanya. I didn't even know who he was. It's just a picture that I found in an old book. And he was dancing, chanting, and I say, yeah, this looks cool. Let's put it on the wall. But the picture of Śrīla Prabhupada was there, and every day when I would practice my yoga, I would offer a little incense, but I remembered that glance from Śrīla Prabhupada, that fleeting glance. It was not even 3 seconds, very little. Just like that devotee, Shayavana Swami, who experienced that association with Śrīla Prabhupada. It is very, very powerful. But it was not until I read Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita, the first Bhagavad Gita was published in 1968. That was the purple cover with the picture of Lord Vishnu. And even then, there was so many brilliant, clear, crystal clear explanations. What is the soul? The difference between the soul and the body? What happens after death? Who is God? What happens in the material world when you die? Why are there suffering? Why some living entities are enjoying them? There's so many clear explanations. That is the power of the words of a pure devotee. Śrīla Prabhupada was super empowered by Lord Chaitanya, that despite all the obstacles, I mean, you think of it, 2 heart attacks on the Jaladuta, in 1967 in New York, another heart attack. He went into India for 6 months and then came back, and then the movement started to explode everywhere. Excuse me, a little cold. Everywhere Prabhupada went, people were directly affected by this pure devotee. And somebody may say, well, you had the chance to personally, physically see him, but we didn't get that chance. Well, it's irrelevant. Whether you personally saw him, if you get in touch with his words, with his writings, with his purports, with his books, it is the same. Just the other day, we were discussing about the power of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. In the first canto of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, it is explained by the sages of Naimisharanya that the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the direct manifestation of Krishna. Krishna is directly present in the verses and the writings of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Similarly, the pure devotee Śrīla Prabhupāda is directly present in his words and in his purports. And anyone can read these books, apply the philosophy. Just like this morning, we had a nice program. Bhakta Ram and one Mataji named Purnima Devi Dasi. We had a nice Mangalartik. We had a beautiful offering to Gornitai and Krishna Kaliya. And this is the program that Prabhupada gave for all of his followers, students, and disciples. Simple. We chanted the Maha Mantra, glorified Śrīla Prabhupada, offered some flowers to Prabhupada, Gornitai, and Krishna. And now we're all assembled together, thanks to this modern technology and the nice work of Venkatabhata Prabhu and Bhakta Ram, we're able to communicate. But what are we together for? For this sadhu sangha, to hear the message of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. This is very important. There was a nice YouTube video recently that a devotee sent me, and Prabhupada was commenting. He says, don't worry, at the time of death, Krishna will remember everything you did, all the service you did. Krishna remembers. Prabhupada said, it is already recorded. It is already recorded. That is why we see in the Bhagavatam, Tasmad Bharata Sarvatma Bhagavan Ishwaru Harihi Shrutavyaha Kirtitavyascha Smartavyascha Ichatabayam. There is the story of King Katvanga. King Katvanga was a very powerful king who was fighting for the demigods. And at the end of his fighting, he requested, well, give me a benediction. And the demigod says, what do you want? He says, how long do I have to live? It says, very short, very short. You will die very soon. So the verse in the Bhagavatam, it says, just take shelter of hearing, chanting, and remembering the name of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is the greatest gift that Śrīla Prabhupada has given, the chanting of the Maha Mantra. Just like we hear from great acharyas like Narottam Das Thakur, Golokera Premadhana Harinama Samkirtana, that this chanting of Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Where does it come from? Narottam Das Thakur explains, Golokera Premadhana. This comes from the spiritual world, from Krishna's own planet. This Nam Samkirtana is the greatest benediction for this age. We've often discussed another verse that Prabhupada often quoted from the Kali Santarana Upanishad about the history of this Maha Mantra. It's a conversation between Lord Brahma and his son Narada Muni, where Narada Muni was asking Lord Brahma, well, how will living entities be delivered in the age of Kali Yuga? And Lord Brahma is explaining by this Maha Mantra, the great chant for deliverance. Iti Shodasakam Nam Nam Kali Kalmasha Nasanam Nata Paratarupeyaha Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate 751. That these 16 words of Hare Krishna, this is the essence of all the Vedas. There is no higher means of self-realization than this chanting. And this is the verdict, Sarva Vedeshu Drishyate. This is the verdict of all the Vedas. Because somebody may say, well, there are so many different recommendations, even in Vedas. doing sacrifice, giving in charity, building tanks, building water ponds, giving food to the poor, so many different, doing different kinds of sacrifices, so many different performing austerities, visiting places of pilgrimage. But this chanting includes all of that. This is the verdict of all the Vedas, that one should simply apply himself to chant. Now, if somebody says, well, I really have to work, I got a family, I got responsibility, a job or business, well, that's okay. No one is telling you not to work, but use this modern technology to your advantage. It's like nowadays there is this YouTube and so many different channels that you can listen to Prabhupada chanting, giving a Bhagavatam class, Prabhupada chanting japa. So many songs are there. Just like in the beginning of this program, Venkat Bhatta Prabhu is playing that song to the 6 Goswamis, the Sat Goswamyastakam. This was written by Srinivasacharya, one of the associates of Srila Jiva Goswami, and it's a beautiful explanation of the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya and who are the 6 Goswamis, because today is a very special day. It is the disappearance day of Srila Jiva Goswami Prabhupada, one of the foremost acharyas in our sampradaya, who is the direct follower and student of Rupa Goswami and Sanatan Goswami. He has written very detailed analysis of all the Shastras with his Sat Sandarbhas and so many other books. Very important. Prabhupada many times quotes Jiva Goswami. As a matter of fact, in one of Prabhupada's books, Prabhupada explains that any time that there is any kind of sacrificial performance or ritualistic performance, it should always begin with the chanting of the name of Krishna and end with the name of Krishna. This is the power of the name of Krishna. It is very, very sweet. It's very transcendental and very beneficial. Anyone can benefit. Whether or not one physically met Prabhupada or not is not the criteria. Krishna is always present in his name. Many times in Prabhupada's book, many places, Prabhupada quoted from the Padma Purana explaining, Abhinatvam Nama Naminaha. Nama means the name of Krishna. Nami means the person Krishna. That there's no difference between the person Krishna and the name of Krishna. That is the power. And that is the prerogative of the pure devotee like Śrīla Prabhupada. Krishna se tomar, Krishna di pepar, tomar shakatiache. He is so absorbed at the lotus feet of Krishna that he can give Krishna to anyone. Anyone who wants to hear, he will give Krishna. So it is our good fortune that some way or other we have come in contact with a great powerful personality like Śrīla Prabhupada, the ambassador of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the foremost preacher of Krishna consciousness in the world. In the beginning, in 1972, in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada, there was a nice caption where Prabhupada said, the greatest exponent of Krishna consciousness in the Western world. Well, that is true, but actually he was the greatest exponent of Krishna consciousness in the whole world, in the whole universe. Simply what we have to do is follow his teachings, follow his instructions, and trying to distribute his instruction and his mercy to everyone with his transcendental books. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Yashodanandana Prabhu, for that wonderful explanation of Krishna consciousness based on today's verses. And I wanted to say that it's interesting to note, that your encounter with Prabhupada was also a reflection of your past life. Because somehow or other, we all have a past life of piety, and we also have a past life of excuse me, we also have a past life of opportunity. On this path, there is no loss or diminution, and it is a progressive path. So I think all of us, for some reason or other, when we come in contact with Krishna, we're drawn to Krishna's service through the pure devotee, Śrīla Prabhupāda. It was our destiny to do this. It's interesting to note that Yashoda was mentioning, Vijaya Pandit, that he had a picture of Lord Chaitanya in his collection at his house. He didn't even know who Lord Chaitanya was, but he had it there. And there's a reason why, because it was something that he had done in the past. This is nothing here, everyone, is by chance or accident. We're here for a specific reason. Some people may accept it, some people don't. But the fact of the matter is, Krishna is aware of everything. So thank you, Yashoda Prabhu, for becoming a devotee and taking up the path of Krishna consciousness, and still active in the year 2024, very active and preaching Krishna consciousness with intensity, following in the footsteps of Prabhupada. I wanted to go back to the verse here just briefly, and in the purport, just at the purport, but as he was king for all around welfare of citizens, he was always busy in the welfare work of the public, not only for his life, but also for the next. So there you are. He would not allow to maintain slaughterhouse of killing cow and thus satisfy the citizens. He was not a foolish, impartial administrator, so that he would arrange for protection of a class of living beings and would allow the other section to be killed because he was a devotee of the Lord. He knew perfectly well how to conduct the administration for everyone's happiness, both men, animal, plants, and all living creatures. He was not selfishly interested. So this is, Prabhupada introduced this concept for us. Protection of all living beings is the responsibility of every person. This is the standard of human form of life that we weren't aware of. In this modern society, most people do not have a conception of this principle. Even though in the Bible it is said, thou shalt not kill, but all these major holidays here in the West are all about killing animals and consuming them as part of the celebration. This is the way of hogs and dogs who eat anything. This is called malecha in our philosophy. Dog eater, or lower than a dog eater. How can anyone understand Krishna with this kind of behavior? Not possible. We can get along with all the animals and birds, as demonstrated by a recent video I saw on Facebook of a small boy somewhere on a farm. So it's interesting, Yashoda Prabhu. This little boy, he's about 6 or 7, he has an electric car, one of those battery-operated little tractors. And he has a series of cars behind it. And on the cars, he has a group of animals, birds, that he carts around his farm. Now, the first one is a rooster. A rooster. Oh, yeah. And he sleeps with the rooster, by the way. So his father takes a picture of him with the rooster. Now, the rooster is very much in love with this boy. Very focused. In fact, when they start off, the rooster will croak, cock-a-doodle-doo, and then off the train goes with him pulling these animals around, and they're all friends. None of them, by the way, jump out of the cars. He has rabbits, he has pigeons, he has a big duck that follows him along. Then he has the goats, around, swirling around, and the dog swirling around his train as he moves down the pathway at his farm. It's incredible. And I'm looking at this, I'm going, This person is demonstrating how all living beings can get along. For example, when they have a celebration here in the West, they kill turkeys at Thanksgiving. Well, here, this young man is demonstrating that this turkey is very conscious of who he is. They actually look at each other eye to eye, and they have a wonderful friendship and trust. He picks his turkey up and he walks around with it and pets it and then puts it down and picks up a rabbit and walks around with it. And all the animals along with him are living in cooperation. So Śrīla Prabhupāda explains, killing and eating them comes with a very serious realize that everything carries this action and reaction system. Kill or be killed, that's the message. Kill and be killed, I should say. By Prabhupada's mercy, we have learned how to eat and offer our food to Krishna and have it become prasadam, because prasadam is antiseptic and prophylactic. It's not that we're vegetarians or vegans. We're Krishnatarians. We offer our food to Krishna and we distribute prasadam to other people. That's also very important. Not just to eat yourself. That's not Krishna conscious. You cook for others. In fact, you should go to your front door and call out, according to the Vedic teachings, is there any hungry man in the neighborhood? Please come and have prasadam. So prasadam has two characteristics that we should understand. I'll finish up in a minute. Prophylactic and antiseptic. It's a prophylactic. It's preventative. It prevents you from committing sinful activities. And it purifies you of past sinful activities. I know here at this ashram, I've had a series of people coming here, either working or living here. And over that period of time, in the last 2 years, we've had 3 people. You know, I had a fellow living in the living room, and he was in cancer. Did he make much advancement? Well, I'd come into his room during the day. I'd talk to him briefly about Krishna. I'd encourage him to read the Gita, and then I'd invite him for prasadam in the kitchen, in the breakfast room. And he'd come in, but he loved the dal and rice, and it was a very great thing. And then he left eventually, went to a hospital called Princess Margaret in Toronto, and he passed away. Sad. But at the same time, Alex got the benefit by the mercy of Prabhupada through his disciples, because we are also ambassadors of Krishna consciousness. We're not we're not very advanced, but at least we can function, Vijaya Pandit, as ambassadors to Śrīla Prabhupada's message and help other people take up this process of Krishna consciousness. That's our responsibility. And give them prasadam. We had this friend, Richard. He was also coming. All of a sudden, I got a message a few months ago from Bhakta Mark. It was one of Mark's best friends, Richard. He passed away in his apartment. Goodbye. So death can come at any moment. And if we can become an ambassador of Krishna consciousness on behalf of our spiritual master and present Prabhupada as guru, Diksha and Siksha guru properly, and give people an introduction into this process without any motivation, then Krishna will bless you. That is Krishna consciousness. And one has to practice this at every moment in his life. Yashodanandana Prabhu, if you could explain further the mercy of the pure devotee.
There's an interesting story. In 1975, there was a very wealthy man in Hyderabad, Andhra Pradesh, India. That's a central province in South India.
Mm-hmm.
He had donated some land for the temple in Hyderabad. for the construction of a Krishna temple. So he invited Śrīla Prabhupada and his disciples to come take prasadam at his house. And he invited all of his relatives and important dignitaries and everything. Now in Andhra Pradesh, they cook very different than in North India. In North India, they cook with a lot of puris and chapatis and kachoris and pakoras and, especially the Marwaris and Gujaratis, very opulent cooking. In South India, it's mostly rice. But in Andhra Pradesh, some of the higher class people, they start a meal with a big, huge ladu. If anybody is familiar with the Tirupati Tirumalai temple, they have these gigantic ladus that are the size of a grapefruit. It's massive. If you eat one of these ladus, literally, you're going to be filled for 5, 6, 7 hours. And it's got everything in it: cashews, almonds, bundis, saffron. It's like a meal packed up. It's semi-sweet. And they have this very unique recipe. So this person is inviting Prabhupada, and the first thing they did is put this gigantic ladu, like the size of a pomelo or a big, large grapefruit. And devotees, because most of us, when we had gone to life members, they were North Indians.
Mm-hmm.
It will start with rice and dal and chapatis and vegetables, not with a big, massive ladus. Because some of them, and anybody who's familiar with the pomelo, it's like a gigantic, huge grapefruit. And devotees were looking at this banana leaf with this big ladu and looking at Prabhupada, what are we supposed to do with this? And Prabhupada is breaking the ladu and he's eating it. And Prabhupada says, eat it. That's how they do over here. And Prabhupada was surprised that the devotees were hesitating. Prabhupada says, I'm eating, so you can eat. It's nice prasadam. So it was just very interesting to see Prabhupada. Prabhupada knew how to accommodate his guests. I was once told another prasadam story, how Prabhupada was invited by a North Indian gentleman, either a Punjabi or somebody from Haryana, and they had cooked a big feast for Prabhupada. And Prabhupada's servant was taking prasadam just besides Prabhupada. And this devotee pulled out a piece of onion out of the dal and showed it to Prabhupada. Prabhupada told him, shut up. You just eat what's there, and because otherwise they will feel very insulted with your behavior. Just take it. There will be no reaction. Just take it. Of course, it's not that Prabhupada was giving a license to eat that kind of food stuff, but Prabhupada was very conscious of reciprocation with his guests. I've seen many times, been with Prabhupada, taking prasadam with some Indian guests. He was very sensitive. Another time in Calcutta, this very rich Bengali lady had been invited Prabhupada with all the devotees, and they had cooked this elaborate feast. Just like all these different preparations you see in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, they were cooking everything. This was just amazing. And at one point, Prabhupada, they brought some nice rasgullas. So Prabhupada took the rasgulla, he squeezed the juice out of it, he popped it in the air, and it went directly into his mouth. Of course, the devotees tried to imitate him. And the rasgullas felt on their shoulders, felt on their nose, felt on their... Prabhupada says, you cannot do that. You cannot imitate. Just put it in your mouth. So that's a few prasadam stories. Hare Krishna.
Excellent. Fantastic. Well, we have quite a few of Prabhupada's mercy in terms of getting the remnants of Śrīla Prabhupada personally. And I know that you've had that opportunity as well. It's called orts, or the remnants of the pure devotee. And it is also known as Maha Prasadam. And this means that it is one of the greatest blessings that a person can have to get this remnants of spiritual food and make advancement. So again, we're not vegan, we're not vegetarian, we're Krishnatarians. We offer our food to Krishna through Prabhupada's instructions. And in this way, this food becomes prasadam. You have it for yourself and cook enough and distribute it to others every day of your life. That's the business of a devotee. And we have Dharma Bhavana with us, I see, from Dallas, Texas. Maybe you could share some insights this morning on these comments.
Oh, Hare Krishna, thank you. Yeah, I was all along. Today's class is very inspirational, and I'm thinking how our classes are very philosophical. They're directly from Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. But if all the devotees and members can become so inspired to think, oh wow, I want to be a devotee. I want to learn how to share all these different stories in Krishna consciousness for the rest of my life. That seems to be a really important thing, this aspect of inspiration. Now, I thought today's class was particularly inspiring. And for those who, we heard about Śrīla Prabhupāda's complications, the theft, and so many different lack of facilities. And we can also use that in our life because we're going to have so many, problems and inconveniences and family and business troubles and on and on. So that's also inspirational that we can see by example. We don't have to become too discouraged if something doesn't go our way, because vitally material nature is so situated that things aren't going to go to our advantage all the time. So those are just some of the notes I made today. And along the whole thing, if we can just simply avoid offending devotees, then our pathway back to Godhead will become without too much trouble. If we learn how to treat the devotees, love the devotees, even if we don't like someone, then everything will be all right. We just learn how to learn to serve the devotees. So those are just a few thoughts I had today from the class. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Yes, very well spoken. And the fact of the matter is that we can't please all of the people all of the time. But at the same time, we have to stay focused on our own spiritual practices. And in this way, we'll develop some strength of character. That's the idea. We have Jonas Priya in Hawaii. Maybe he could share his insights on today's verses. I hope his microphone is working. Jonas Priya, aloha in Hawaii.
Hare Krishna, Haribol, all glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Wonderful nectar today. I'm drowning on this nectar of Prabhupada Lila and Prasadam Lila. And yeah, a second association where pure devotee, it's enough to ignite our fire of spiritual life. And I remember first time I saw Śrīla Prabhupada in LA, he was getting out of the car on the back alley, and they were showering flowers from the roof. It was like a heavenly setup. And the door opened and Prabhupada came out and Prabhupada smiled. And if you ever got to see Prabhupada smile, it was like oceanic. And I totally lost track of time and place. I was like, I didn't know what happened. I was just like, whoa. And Prabhupada usually would look at everybody. In LA, when Prabhupada gave class, everybody that attend one of Prabhupada's classes will tell you this, that during the class, at one point or another, Prabhupada will look into each devotee in that room, right into your eyes. And when Prabhupada looked at you, it was like piercing. You could tell that you couldn't hide anything from him. He knew who you were. And it's amazing. And the feeling when Prabhupada looked at you was like electrifying. So this is Prabhupada's mercy upon us, that he has so much mercy to give. All we have to do is take that first step and accept Śrīla Prabhupada in our heart. And Prabhupada is right there, ready to help us. So we need to keep on asking the pure devotee. And so Prabhupada helps us so nicely by giving us this wonderful tool called Prasadam. And Prasadam is the most amazing thing. Simply by offering Prasadam to an animal, these animals will take human birth. So I used to run Food for Life for many years, and sometimes we have some leftover or prasadam after many days. We'll go bed, and I always take it either to the ocean or a river or bury it on the dirt. And so whenever you feed animals prasadam, they're gonna see this life. Imagine that you're a little fish and you have billions of lifetimes to wait to come to human form to inquire who you are. And here's a little prasadam, and the fish takes that prasadam, and he's born a human, given a chance. And this happens because we offer this food to Śrīla Prabhupāda, the way Prabhupada taught us, and Prabhupada offers it to his guru, and this goes straight back to Krishna. So prasadam is the most amazing thing. And I'm a prasadam addict, like we all are. And I love to feed people, just like Vishwakarma. I love to cook and feed people. Every chance we get, we could distribute prasadam. And even if we don't cook, we could buy a bag of sugar candy and offer it to Krishna and give this, wherever we go, we could give little candy to anybody. People will take anything wrapped. So thank you very much. Hare Krishna. I love the animal story on the train. I was laughing so hard. Thank you for that one. Hare Krishna.
Well, the point is that Prabhupada understood the reality of karma, and he was trying to help us avoid these very sinful activities. And it is of killing animals for eating. Prabhupada refers to it as hogs and dogs because a hog or a dog will eat pretty much anything. So the human being, and many of them, eat anything. They have no discrimination. So Krishna consciousness, through transcendental knowledge, enlightens people on what to do and what not to do in order to avoid the calamity of taking birth in a lower species. This is a mystery, this philosophy. It is really a mystery, especially for the non-devotee. They look at you like a deer with headlights on. Huh? Excuse me? I don't have to eat hamburger? I shouldn't eat chicken? This is a mad, insane world we live in, everyone. There's only a few sane people. Prabhupada would tell us that. Everyone is crazy. This is a crazy world. But it is an opportunity for us in our own little place in this world. It's a Namhata program we're presenting, where each one of us becomes an ambassador. Prabhu Dattadesha, in your particular area, I've been in this area for, 53 years in the same spot, and struggling on to try to do something in a humble way to serve my guru. And so everyone in their own particular spot, whether you're in Italy or in Texas or Australia or Hawaii, do the best that you can to take this process. Yashoda Prabhu, maybe you could share some more insights for us.
There's an interesting story that happened in Calcutta in the early 1970s, where one disciple went to Prabhupada's room and asked Śrīla Prabhupada, "Oh, Prabhupada, please give me your mercy. I'm desirous of your mercy. Please give me your mercy." And Prabhupada said, "No, you give me your mercy. Help me spread this movement." So basically, this was a nice instruction from Śrīla Prabhupada, that the mercy of the spiritual master is always available. Are we willing to do what it takes to get more mercy and to give that mercy to other persons? Very important point. I see that our friend Nilesh Prabhu is also has his hand up. Is he traveling?
Hare Krishna.
Yes, he's
Hare
traveling always.
Krishna. No,
Very
I'm,
good.
I'm just in the car. This is my sanctum sanctorium, so I'm away from all distractions. So anyway, um, what I wanted to share was um, uh, is that the new breed of people who are turning to veganism, away from all kind of meat eating, and they see the perils of meat eating, and they see the medical reasons, they see the environmental reasons, they see other aspects. Like even when we were in Zurich, one of the oldest vegan restaurants in Europe is over there, which is dating back to I think 1970 or 19th century or something like that sort, where they have been pushing this veganism for a lot. And these are, I feel, the ideal people who can easily be turned to Krishna consciousness. You see, easily attracted towards Krishna consciousness on this particular philosophy. Because if you look at even scientific data, they say that plants can even hear us. Like, for example, we know the famous experiments which were done by Jagdish Chandra Bose on plants, where both plants were given the same amount of light, same amount of water, and one was subjected to a different kind of music, like rock music, while the other plant was subjected to Indian classical music, and one plant grew towards the speaker while the other one grew away from the speaker. Now, those who are vegetarians, like me, when I was growing up, we were vegetarians. Though we were Vaishnavas, nobody explained to me that, oh, we have to offer it to Krishna or whatever. So when I grew up, I started eating meat for a brief amount of time, thinking that no matter what I do, I'm going to kill life. Even if I kill life, I used to justify it by saying is that if I were to slap person A, and the person A did not respond much, while I slapped with the same amount of violence person B, and the person B started wailing, that does not mean that person B got more hurt than person A. We base our judgment of evolution or person's pain from the response which we get from the stimulus which we give, which is wrong. And the modern scientific data has proven that even talking positively to the tree or the sapling will grow the sapling faster than giving negative thoughts. And these experiments have been done. So when people are aware of all these things and how life is equal in every jiva, then the embracing of Krishna conscious philosophy becomes easier. I would like your input on that, Yashodanandan Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Well, this is a very important point that you're raising, because we see Prabhupada was always emphasizing the point, just like it was mentioned by Vishwakarma Prabhu, we are not vegetarians or vegans, we are Krishnatarian, because it's a much higher philosophical understanding to understand that all life is given by Krishna. Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, Aham bija pradapita, I am the seed-giving father of all living entities. So no one has the right to take the life of another living entity. There is karma involved with everything. That's why we offer the foodstuff to Krishna. Then the plant is benefited, the devotee is benefited, everyone is benefited, because it already belongs to Krishna. So we offer it with love and devotion. Just like in the Mahabharata, there's the famous story of Vidura and Duryodhana. Duryodhana invited Krishna for a big, massive, lavish feast that he had cooked. And Krishna did not accept the feast of Duryodhana. But when Vidura offered Krishna a banana, Vidura was so excited that he peeled the banana. He gave the peel to Krishna and the banana was tossed away. He was so excited. And Krishna ate the peel. Why? Because there was devotion, there was love. So the point is that Prabhupada taught us to love all living entities, all plants, all living beings, not to unnecessarily kill animals, and to offer the foodstuff with love and devotion. That's why all these great acharyas, in our sampradaya, all sampradayas, they recommend to eat certain foods like onions, garlic, and many of these foods are not meant to be offered to Krishna. They're tamasic and rajasic. So that's why Prabhupada was very careful to teach the devotees that you prepare the food in a certain way, in a certain consciousness. Everything has to be very clean, offer it with love and devotion. And then all of the issue of karma is taken out. Because the karma is a very complicated. There's that story in the Bhagavatam, how a great rishi pierced an ant, and he was condemned by Yamaraj to take the, there's very severe reaction for everything. And there is so many activities in this world that people do that are very troublesome. Very troublesome. I mean, look at what's going on. People kill their children in the womb, and they march. You see, they march for their rights, their abortion rights. Well, what about the right of that child in the womb? Does he not have rights? But because people are not educated, they don't understand next life, this life, what is the karma, what is the result of all these activities. This is a very dangerous situation. You see, there's so many wars and conflicts, so many conflicts. And Prabhupada explained during the Vietnam War, devotees asked Prabhupada, why is it that there's so much killing going on? There's this war. Prabhupada, because you kill the animals, by the law of nature, so many people will be killed in these unnecessary wars and so many other calamities. Yes, you had another
Prabhuji,
point.
I wanted to ask a corollary to this, because again, I heard in one of these YouTube shorts, there is a Prabhupada Anugrah group in Singapore, where this Prabhuji was talking about milk which we get from cows. We know that the cows are very ill-treated. They are injected with growth hormones, antibiotics. Then there are people who say, no, I will buy only organic milk where they are not treated with antibiotics. I go to the point where, okay, we will buy even raw milk, not even homogenized milk, where in Florida at least, there is a label which is given, not fit for human consumption. So it is raw milk, which is not processed at all. It is not even pasteurized. We get it home, we boil it, and then we make yogurt and paneer or whatever it is. But my argument with my wife is always the same. She says that at the end of it all, the cow is still sent to the slaughterhouse. So now they have come up with another level, which is called ahimsa milk, where they don't send the cow to the slaughterhouse after her lactation period is done. Now this Prabhu from Singapore says, whether she's sent to the slaughterhouse or not sent to slaughterhouse, if we were to take that milk and offer it to Krishna, as you said, that everybody profits, the cow profits, the man profits, the person who's consuming profits, everybody profits. What is your position on this subject with milk?
Well, that devotee was correct. Let's take the example here. Those of us who were there, like Vishwakarma and Dharma Bhavana and Janas Priya, that were there during Prabhupada's manifested presence. Prabhupada took milk that was bought from the market from cows that it's the same treatment then that they have now. And Prabhupada's explanation when this came up is that the cow gets benefit. All the living entities that take that milk that is offered to Krishna gets benefit. In other words, there is no karma involved if that milk is offered to Krishna. And another thing about this vegan, as Vaishnavas, for example, in the Krishna Astutara Shatanama, there's 108 names of Lord Krishna from the Narada Pancharatra. And some of Krishna's name, for example, one of Krishna's name is Makhanchor. Krishna steals butter. This is well known. So are we supposed to take that name out of that prayer because it doesn't conform to somebody's idea of social justice? These devotees, I appreciate the sentiment, but there's a lot of deeper understanding of the law of karma here. Just like if you offer a flower, you take that flower from the bush, you offer it to Krishna, that tree becomes liberated. Prabhupada used to say, if an animal gets prasadam, they get benefited. So there is a lot of things they don't understand. The sentiment, the emotion is nice, but what we're going is a little deeper, that it should be offered to Krishna with love and devotion, and that will cure the problem. Because even if they say that these cows are mistreated, cows have always been mistreated, at least in Kali Yuga. That's how Kali Yuga began, with Mahārāja Parīkṣit having the Shudra beating the cow. So the point is that these milk, you cannot achieve perfection with this sentiment. Because, for example, when you do a baiting ceremony of the deities, there's a point called Pancha Amrita, with cow, milk, yogurt, ghee, sugar, honey. Then there's Panchagavya, where you have the urine of the cow, the stool of the cow, milk, honey, and ghee. And this is recommended by the acharyas, like Rupa Goswami, Sanatana Goswami, Ramanuja, Madhva. They worship their deities, because in Vedic culture, the cow is considered very sacred. So these persons do not have that depth of the knowledge. And what we can do is recommend to these people, we appreciate your sentiment, that's very nice. But even if the milk is bought from the market, if it is offered to Krishna, the cow will be benefited, the person who's offering will be benefited, and the person who will consume the prasad will be benefited. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Thank you very much, everyone. We're at 11:33 a.m. Of this particular program. I thought it was an interesting point that Vinkat Bhatta wrote here. In my experience, vegans have a very hard time accepting that we eat milk and milk products as prasadam. That's an accurate statement because of their particular point of view, which is basically not a Krishna conscious point of view. It's their perception of things. It's good that they're trying to protect animals. We respect that. But again, as you said, Yashoda, this is a higher principle of Krishna prasadam. Krishna, we offer our food. First, if you can eat all the vegan food you want, but if you don't offer it, there's still a sinful reaction for it. Everything, every action has a sinful reaction to it, except Krishna prasadam. So, Nilesh, I want to suggest keep going, preach to whoever you meet, whoever you see, explain this philosophy to them, and hopefully they'll take up Krishna consciousness if they're really sincere, if it's in their heart that they are serious about spiritual life. Prabhupada said you have to be very serious about getting out of this material world. It is not for whimsical people that just make up things, concoct this and that. And what about Jersey cows versus Desai cows?
Doesn't matter, they're cows.
All questions. Thank you, everyone. And what is the plan now, Yashoda Prabhu, for
at 10:30 a.m. this morning, Pacific time, which is going to be in about 2 hours. We're going to have a kirtan. We're going to read about Śrīla Jiva Goswami Prabhupada. And at about 11:40, we're going to have a mini special event to demonstrate how to offer the bhoga to become prasadam. We're going to explain from Prabhupada's perspective how it should be offered. We're going to do an actual offering so we can demonstrate and record it so it can go into our site. There's already a Mataji cooking in the kitchen, very nicely cooking, and we're going to be offering so everybody can try to join in at 10:30. We're going to have a beautiful kirtan. We're going to read basically from the Chaitanya Charitamrita from Prabhupada describing the activities and life of Jiva Goswami. And around 11:35, 11:40, we're going to read a few passages from Prabhupada explaining how to offer the bhoga so that it becomes prasada, the authorized way according to Śrīla Prabhupāda.
Excellent. Vijaya Pandit, did you enjoy the program today?
Yes.
Are you feeling ecstasy? You feel some ecstasy?
Always. Oh,
Thank you.
I feel some ecstasy with all of you. I can say something
Germany or Italy?
What?
about Rupesh, who's saying something, asking something. There is a Leela of Śrīla Prabhupada when he came to Italy, 1974, and one evening he was asking some milk. So a disciple told to Śrīla Prabhupada, but Śrīla Prabhupada, this milk from the supermarket is not it's from the supermarket. It's Goshala. It's not from the Goshalas, the milk. It's not coming from protected cows. And Prabhupada answered, milk is milk. And that finished. So she brought the milk, what Śrīla Prabhupada asked. Milk is milk. So maybe Rupesh get an answer.
Yes. So
I
very
guess
good.
my
I don't know if
question to all the Vegans,
Yeah.
my question to all the Vegans, are they willing to operate goshalas and give protection to the cows? Not just the negative part, to criticism of what the karmis are doing to the cows, but they're willing to protect the cows and take the necessary steps and engage in actual cow protection. That is the question.
Yes.
I think also is Prabhupada, the finer tissues of the brain develop by which we can understand this transcendental science.
Yes.
So Vincot's made another very good point that they say cow milk shouldn't be consumed by humans. Completely wrong. But this goes on, everyone, in the form of what's called mental speculation and mental concoctions. So we should try to avoid that and carry on with our Krishna conscious philosophy given by Śrīla Prabhupāda as the absolute truth. So thank you, everyone. All glories to Śrīla Prabhupāda. Let's move forward with Kirtan.
I
from
have
the
a
60s.
question. How do we get into the program later on? Will there be a link, or we just use the same link that we use?
Yes,
for
Prabhu, it's the same link, and I'll also share it on, well, I shared it by email already, and I'll share it on WhatsApp also.
Thank you.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yashoda Prabhu, and all the devotees who have participated today in this very interesting program of the discussions of our philosophy for our benefit and ecstatic understanding of the good fortune that all of us have being disciples of A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Hari Bol.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta-vrinda Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Vanchakalpa tarubhyascha kripa sindubhya evacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. We'll see you all at 10:30. Hare Krishna.